Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another RPG News Roundup. It has been a few weeks since I've done one of these, and I am very, very sorry about that. I am feeling finally much better now. I can actually talk for more than 5 minutes at a time, although not much longer. I was terribly sick last week, honestly, up until about Friday night, and then the week before, my mother was going through her heart procedures, so thank you all for your well wishes. She has recovered very well. I'm starting to recover, and now just looking for the long-term game with her, and she should be good. I do appreciate all of the messages. It really means a whole lot to me. We'll go into the news, but before I do, this will probably be one of the last RPG News Roundups in this particular format. I have decided, after some consideration, that I will be splitting them, as I've been toying to with some time now, into a tabletop RPG news and then a computer and console RPG news. I've yet to finalize the final format, but it will be upcoming, if not next week, then at least in the next few weeks. Maybe next week, maybe not entirely sure yet, but the change is coming soon. So those of you who only watch for computer console RPG news or for tabletop RPG news, I'll label them appropriately so you know which one to look at. So that way you don't have to sift through the half of the stuff that you won't really follow. Of course, if one or the other only ends up getting a few views each week, I guess I'll know which one to cut, if either one. So I'll give it a few weeks to figure that one out, just in case. And man, what a few weeks to miss, am I right? Apparently there were several issues in both the tabletop and computer gaming RPG worlds, with people just popping off and saying pretty insane and, in some cases, vile things. I would have absolutely called them out for it, although a lot of that, on both sides, seems to have resolved in various ways, either through, corporate, action, or through the simple fact that some communities will now be self-selecting. Yeah, okay, whatever. Rather than make this a 45-minute video on why people in various industries shouldn't alienate like half their customer base, this week I'm simply going to concentrate on giving a rundown on the last week or so in new releases and touch upon a few major ones that I missed. Let's start with computer and console role-playing game news. Of course, Kingdom Come Deliverance saw a release not this last week, but the week before, and apparently it's pretty solid, and people are enjoying it, even though there was some controversy on its initial release. When then we go to Citizen Sleeper 2, a Starward Vector, saw its release in a similar time frame. That one's a dice-driven RPG in a sci-fi world where you play an escaped android with a price on your head and no memory of your past. Just thought I'd toss it out there because it might have been overwhelmed by the Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 release. Although I think they cater to different audiences, so okay. Strategy RPG Songs of Silence looks like it's getting a new DLC. The Light Eaters, or the Light Eaters rather, will offer a new faction, so that's good. Dungeon Fell is set to release on February 21st. It will be a roguelite tactical team-based RPG where you send groups of delvers into ever-changing dungeons. Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Battle of Destiny Remastered is set to release on May 22nd. It'll target the PC and the Switch and will have you taking on various missions from the Mobile Suit Gundam Seed animated series, a couple of them I guess, as well as various side stories. Elden Ring Night Rain also has a May release date set. It looks like it'll hit on May 30th. It'll target the PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, as well as the Xbox Series X. Lost Soul Aside is also set to hit on May 30th. Good luck with that. It'll be an action JRPG where you look to save your sister and indeed all of mankind from dimensional invaders. Borderlands 4 is the latest in the looter-shooter/semi-RPG series, set to release on September 23rd. I played a couple of these. I'm not a huge fan of them, but I can see how people would like them. The Digimon Story Time Stranger was announced. It looks like it will release later this year and target the PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X/S. Then Touhou's Spell Carnival is getting a PC release. It will be a tactical RPG set to release on Steam sometime this year. It has been available on the PS4 and 5 as well as the Switch since last year. The Directorate Novitiate was announced. It will be a dark fantasy modern action RPG where you go after killers and supernatural syndicates in the early 2000s. A vampire RPG called Nightborn was announced. It looks like it'll be set in a modern New Orleans where you play a vampire detective. And then another unrelated vampire RPG, Harrowed World, Portents in Red, will have you playing a new vampire trying to survive the treachery of your vampiric peers and society in general. And then it looks like Wizardry variant Daphne is coming to Steam now. Now, I've played a little bit of this on Android, and while it is basically a Wizardry dungeon crawler, except with characters, gear, and supplies done in a gacha style. It sounds annoying, I know, but it's actually pretty generous in terms of free drops and such. As far as the actual dungeon quality itself, that's going to depend on whether you like modern Japanese-style wizardry games or not. I mean, it's a wizardry game with gotcha elements, okay? As far as actual releases go, it looks like Legend of Heroes Trails Through Daybreak 2 was released. Latest in the Trails series has you investigating a series of murders. Then Shujinko was released. It is a language learning RPG done in a JRPG dungeon crawler style where you get to learn Japanese. Warriors Abyss is a roguelike hack and slash style action RPG in the Warriors franchise from Koei Tecmo. So that's interesting. Then there's tactical RPG Astral Throne, a retro style turn based roguelike where you are in a land with a memory stealing fog. Dark Blade Ascent is a first person roguelike RPG where with a randomly generated weapon upgrades, unlockable new classes, and so forth with a hack and slash style. Dead Dragons is a turn-based JRPG with a pretty classic-looking style and pixel artwork set in a world where humans triumphed over dragons a century ago. Finally, and not really an RPG, but I'm going to throw it in there because I know a lot of RPG players like this particular series, there is Shadowgate 2, a sequel to the reimagined Shadowgate from a few years back, which itself was a reimagined version of an old ICOM, or an old point-and-click adventure game. It is another point-and-click adventure game where you solve various puzzles in the aforementioned castle. And now on to tabletop RPG news. Once again, looks like I missed quite a bit of issues. For instance, the Imperial Wizards of the Coast decided to cut certain creatures such as orcs from the monster manual. But it looks like they are starting to reverse course on some of that ridiculous kind of decision, because they will put Evil Drow, oh my god, Evil Drow, into an upcoming monster manual expansion for one of the settings. I believe it's Forgotten Realms. And if you know, working with that sort of people are your thing, and you happen to be an all-star narrative designer, it looks like they're looking for a senior narrative world builder designer for D&D. And it looks like their primary task will be producing meta plots rather than actual world building, so they can run it across various media aspects. I don't know. I thought that they just fired a bunch of people a couple like last year or the year before that had that sort of experience. I guess they're looking for new blood. And it looks like Critical Role is going to run a new Daggerheart miniseries focusing on the Age of Umbra campaign. I don't particularly watch Critical Role, but it's good to see them utilizing a new system, and good luck with them. Onward towards minor and PDF releases. I will try to cut down on the usual slew of these that I put in, simply because I'm trying to cover like 2 to 3 weeks worth of material, and that's going to be a nightmare, so I'm just going to cover the last week, and if I missed any good products, I apologize for it. But we'll begin with Dungeon Backdrop, Hidden Sanctum of the Nameless Mage, which is available in Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition versions, as well as OSR and 5th edition rule sets. The Mammoth Factory has a couple of entries into their 5th edition fairy tale-based campaign, Fateless. There is Fateless, the Real Boy, and Fateless, Snow Blight of the Neverwoods. Okay, I kind of got confused there. Grim Press has a couple of entries into their Cavern Crawl series. There is a series of 5th edition Dungeon Crawl adventures. There's number 69, Hollow Heart, number 70, Eclipse Night, and number 71, Veil of Snow. Art of the Genre has another entry into their Folio Black Label series. Black Label number 10 is another 5th edition adventure with 1st edition rules included within. That's what they do in their Folio series. They've been producing a lot of stuff for another RPG system. I should probably start covering that as well next time they put out another group. Anyway, the Arcane Academy is a 5th edition compatible adventure revolving around a magical school. War of the Clans is a solo 5th edition adventure from Elfie Punk. You can tell I'm still sick here, but at least I can talk now. Somnus Domina, Lana's Fateful Vault, is a 5th edition compatible splash book, which involves material revolving around a goddess of fortune and temptation. Acheron Games has a few offerings for their Brancolonia Spaghetti Western setting for 5th edition rule set. There's The Furious Lands and Other Dirty Jobs, a campaign collection. There is Spaghetti Fantasy Bestiary, and then there's The Bounty Kingdom Gazetteer. Adventure Kit, Beowulf's Deceit, is a 5th edition offering that includes adventure hooks, adventure blueprint, some character and creature stat blocks, and counter-generated various new items and spells and so forth with a Beowulf-style theme. Everybody Rots is a 5th edition Western noir adventure. Crazy Companions is a collection of 35 unique pets, familiars, mounts, and so forth for 5th edition. Villains Unleashed is a 5th edition offering available in print on demand, revolving around creating villains and running them. Although it is geared towards 5th edition, much of its content is such like advice and story design style stuff, which can be used with pretty much any system. The Lovecraft Grimoire is a collection of Lovecraft-based material for 5th edition, including guidelines for integrating eldritch horror into your campaigns, as well as many items, creature, rituals, and so forth. Elven Tower has Dungeon Vault Magazine number 54, which includes adventures and other materials for 5th edition, as well as Shadowdark. Dead Bodies is an OSR-style adventure, the third module in the Perils of Portal Lake campaign. It is designed to blend urban intrigue with old-school dungeon crawling. Masters of Vanity, the Green Veil, is a drop-in area based on old-school style adventures using the Old School Essentials classic fantasy game. Nordic Skalds has a couple of offerings for their Windheim setting for Dragonbane system. There's the Windheim Companion, as well as Traces of Darkness, Horn of the Dawn Part 1, which appears to be the first part of an epic campaign series. Maze's Fantasy Roleplay has Module 31, another adventure for that system. This one's called Cavern of the Stone Worm. Meteor Tales, the White Frost Plague, has a campaign, is a campaign for the Meteor Tales role-playing game that can take adventures from low to high levels exploring the northern part of that world. Chaosium has Quest Worlds, a setting-agnostic role-playing game designed for cinematic, larger-than-life settings, inspired by classic pulp comic books, weird fiction, and so forth. Then there's a Vagabond, a pulp fantasy RPG OSR inspired. It draws an inspiration from everything from medieval romances to classic dungeon synth to general dungeon crawlers and so forth. Agrella, the City of Eternal Euphoria, is an offering for the Symbarum series and includes a campaign, color maps of the city, various establishments, detailed NPCs, and so forth. Doghouse Rules has Sidewinder Recoiled for the Savage Worlds system. It's a traditional Western role-playing game set in the 19th century using Savage Worlds rules. There's the core book as well as the player's book. Then there's a version of Pew Pew for a few credits more, a sci-fi, like bounty hunter kind of thing, except this time for the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. Duets in Darkness is a selection of scenarios for Call of Cthulhu 7th Edition. I think it has 3 of them, each one set in a different time and designed for just a single player and a single keeper. Then there's also Dead Fellows, a Call of Cthulhu scenario set in 1982, revolving around 4 mobsters in a Cadillac during a blinding snowstorm. Renegade Game Studios has a couple of offerings for Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition. There is Scent of Decay, which is a chronicle book, and then the Shattered Nation source book. Finally, there is a set of digital tools for Cyberpunk Red designed for the Demiplane platform, so you can play Cyberpunk Red using Demiplane, or Cyberpunk Red using Demiplane. And with that, I'll move on to crowdfunding campaigns. Remember that contributing to a crowdfunding campaign should be done only true and risk. Doing so is no guarantee you even receiving a product mentioned here is not an endorsement, but it is for informational purposes only. And again, I haven't done this for a few weeks. There's likely a large number of things I'm going to miss. A number of computer and console campaigns caught my eye this week, but in terms of the tabletop ones, is Zine Quest month, so that added even more stuff to there. So I'm going to weed out a lot of the zines simply because I do not have time to just do this. I'll try and do more next week, whenever. I do encourage you to go to the Kickstarter if you like that sort of thing and search the Zine Quest. I also apologize for falling off on covering them for other platforms such as Indigo, BackerKit, and so forth. Indiegogo has been kind of slow on some of the RPG crowdfunding in recent weeks, or recent months, really. If you know anything interesting that's out on BackerKit and not on Kickstarter, just give me a comment or something. But anyway, let's start with computer and console campaigns. There's Alterium Shift, which looks to be a retro-inspired JRPG with some modern stylings inspired by some of the classics such as Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, and so forth. Then there's Runic Prophecy, which will be a Souls-like action RPG with a dark fantasy world, except also with the ability to ride a dragon. Mayhem Brawler 2, Best of Both Worlds, will be a mix of modern roguelite with RPG mechanics as well as beat-em-up style play. Katana Dragon will be an action-adventure and dungeon exploration RPG where you play as a couple of ninjas on their quest to save the world. Finally, in terms of computer and console campaigns, there's Big Boy Adventure, an action RPG with a top-down view where a mysterious smoke has risen from the underground, corrupting nature and turning the island's creatures hostile. There is a demo available. And onward towards tabletop campaigns, Lords of the Pit, Cacophony on Wings of Night will be a 5th edition compatible adventure where you dive into a frozen volcano to retrieve a sentient musical instrument. Vowels of the Forest will be a 5th edition horror adventure where you are rescuing a child who went missing in a grim woodland. Jekyll or Hyde looks to be a gothic 5th edition horror adventure, I presume inspired by the classic novel. The Twilight Bazaar looks to be a collection of 100 mystical wandering magic shops for 5th edition. Yokai Bestiary will be a collection of 5th edition monsters based on Japanese folklore. Cute Creatures Compendium 2 will be a 5th edition collection of adorable creatures with stat blocks, lore, and illustrations, etc. Bundle of 5 zines, old school Renaissance D&D modules, will be exactly what it says on the tin, a collection of 5 adventures in the OSR style. Creature Feature Quarterly, Volume 14, will be another collection of several monsters, complete with paper minis, VTT tokens, etc. from Jeremy Hart, set for Old School Essentials, as well as Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Kalarath, a Twin Sun Sutra, looks to be a Sword and Sorcery style zine, detailing more material for the world of Kalarath, which was detailed in prior zines. Once again, we have combined campaigns for another issue of OSR Zine Delver, this time number 17, as well as the Shadow Dark-based Runes, number 6, a zine for that system. These are classically full of various articles, but a lot of useful tables, that sort of thing. 6 Thrones of Bone from Gallant Knight Games will be a solo RPG where you hunt down necromancers who ruined your world. A Blight Upon Sombraval looks to be an adventure module for classic and old school games with a dark medieval and horror theme. Regnum Solace will be a role-playing game set in medieval Sicily. Imperium will be a RPG setting and system that looks to fuse 3.x era D&D and Pathfinder with multiverse themes. Killers and Kittens will be a fantasy RPG of perilous dungeons with an OSR style, except you're playing kittens. Fallen London RPG will be an officially licensed tabletop RPG set in the subterranean city of Fallen London from Fail Better Games, Sunless Sea, Sunless Skies, and so forth. Solar Crawl will be an OSR-style exploration hex crawl game set in space. Project Omega looks to be a sci-fi RPG based on a D10 roll-under system revolving around surviving the threats of the universe. Finally, there's Emergence, which will be a funnel-style offering for Mothership First Edition. And with that, I'm going to wrap things up here. Again, my apologies for the delays last few weeks. Things have been hectic, but are definitely improving. Appreciate all the support again. I will try to get more reviews out. I got a couple more that I scripted while I was sick. Couldn't record anything, and I got to be honest, I want to record tonight some more Let's Plays, but we'll have to see how my voice holds up. I may end up doing that over the weekend. So Let's Plays will, again, be delayed, but they'll be coming soon enough. As soon as I can talk for more than 20 minutes straight without losing my voice. Anyway, as always, links will be below. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment, got any feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content. Until next time, take care and goodbye.
And if you are still watching, I would like to take the opportunity to thank my supporters, the top tiers of which are listed on the screen, without whose support I would not have been able to offer the variety of content that I have on this channel throughout the years. If you're feeling particularly generous and would like to join them, you can support the channel. There are a variety of options to do so. I have a Patreon, a Subscribestar, as well as channel memberships enabled. If you are not in a position to contribute, simply leaving a like, a comment, or sharing my videos are all wonderful ways to help the channel grow without spending a dime, and are all greatly appreciated.